Ask me for the money back. I'm not gonna end it again. Right. Downloading. I don't think I'm gonna. Might get into the session. And if not, all we're doing is chatting. Yeah, downloading and installing Knockhill, and then I'll have to download and install updates. Already done. Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to round 6 of the BSR MX5 Championship, hosted here on Year 1 TV. We're at the glorious Knockhill circuit tonight. I actually had to buy the circuit. I didn't realise I didn't have it, which is an absolute travesty. It's been out for far too long for that to be an excuse that it's new or anything like that, but it's going to be wicked. My name is Jack Oliphant, and I'm joined this evening by a man who you should recognise from last week, who was covering for me. This time, it's covering for Reece Saunders, and it's Tyler Manning. Tyler, how the devil are you? Yeah, Tyler, I was going to say, I was fiddling around to see whether I was muted or you were muted or whatever, but yeah, how are you again?
I'm doing good. That's a fall on me. I'm doing pretty good. I'm shocked that you don't have this track. This is a bit of a jewel in UK.
I was going to say, I'm surprised as well. I say it has only just come out in iRacing. That's an absolute lie. It's been out for far too long, as I said. But yeah, one of my favourite tracks in the UK, I would say, as well. In the world, to be honest. For me, Donington is top, and then Knockhill is a second sort of thing. So it's, yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. But the first time I've ever commentated on it either. So I don't know if you have much experience in racing it or on the sim or commentating on it at all.
I have done a bit of a Porsche Cup in it a few weeks ago, but I've just been doing mainly rallycross for the last few months. So doing it on here is a little more difficult, as it is the track. It's quite a difficult track to get right. So
it's also quite short, isn't it, really? I mean, every corner is pretty vital, especially that last one. To get your drive up the hill is really very important. And it's a very small track for a Porsche Super Cup as well. I can't imagine it would be easy to overtake or anything around this track.
No, it was really difficult just doing Porsche Cup, but it's going to be a lot different since we came from Monza, where there were so many overtakings last week with the Mazdas. So much drafting, so many potential action, and drama everywhere.
Yeah, so if you weren't here last week, like my good self, apparently the racing was absolutely epic. We had a trip away. This is mainly a British-based series in terms of the tracks that we're using. But they flew over to Monza virtually and had a great time. And Tyler, you were obviously covering that one, weren't you? You just touched upon it there. But we had repeated winners, we had championship leaders, and we just had overall great racing.
Yeah, so much action there. It was just insane how much there was overtakes. The drafting in the Mazdas are absolutely insane. That there were so many lead changes in one lap that Reece was having a hard time commentating, and I was having a hard time commentating because we were losing our breath.
That's always the best races, though, when a commentator loses their breath or loses their voice, and you have to go and have a lie down in a dark room afterwards or something. But what it did do is spice up the championship quite nicely, didn't it? It's been ebbing and flowing so far today, and hopefully Graham Sessford on the graphics and the broadcast, who does a brilliant job as usual, will be able to bring up some of the championship graphics for you now as well. I'll get them up on my screen in case he doesn't manage it. There we go. In fact, as I say that, I shouldn't have doubted him, should I? Adam Delmont on top, but only by 102 points from Andy McEwen. And trust me, that's a lot closer. It's a bit different, actually, I would say, when you take into account drop rounds. But we're not going to do that until we get to the final round of the championship. It's too hard to keep up with. Tom Griffiths in third place, 205 points back from Adam Delmont, but he moved up a place from fourth, overtaking Jason Cooper. Nick Clibbins also moved up to fourth, again overtaking Jason Cooper, who finds himself in fifth position. James Neve was one of the big gainers in the championship last week. He moved up 5 positions, up into 6th place. Michael Seal is back up to 7th. He missed a couple of weeks ago, and therefore he plummeted down to outside the top 15 at one point. He's back up to 7th now. Adam McNally is in 8th, with 9th Jamie Gulliford and Kip Stevens, who both had nights to forget by the looks of it, because again, they dropped down a couple of positions, 9th and 10th respectively. Sam Smith, Douglas Stewart, Adam Fox, Lars Fisher, and Craig McDonald are your 10th to 15th. And rounding out the top 20, Fiona Siddons, Luke Cooper, Mark Oliver, Paul Cook, and Leon Jenkins. Leon, one of the newcomers to the championship, and in that AM category, want to be looking out on. 21st down sees Lee Holmes, Craig Schill, Julian Schreur, Chris Dixon, Thor Tuller, Chris Warner, Glenn Humberstone, Liam Stimpson, Colin Sampson, and in 30th place, Luke Pullen. And then we do have another 5 drivers who have entered the championship. Liam Silkstone, Alistair Hatcher, Mark Van Dalen, Wayne Douglas, and Simon Robson. Simon Robson, who's only gained 93 points, I think hasn't been here for a fair few weeks. Right, now that's the championship done and dusted. I can probably reliably say that we're going to have a look at some actual car action, on-track action from some of our cars. We are into qualifying. And with 5 minutes to go, Tyler, it's a little bit tight towards the top.
Oh my goodness. It is absolutely close. Super close at the top and super close throughout the rest of the grid. And you can just see all the way down to 14th, they are within a second. And just looking up, the top 3 are within a 10th of a second. My goodness, it is just absolutely crucial to get qualifying right. But it's such a short track, like you said, that having the space to do a run around here is just so important.
Yeah, it's a lot like Brands Hatch Indy or Silverstone National Circuit or any of those sort of circuits where the smallest of margins actually seem really big, and anything over about a 10th of a second gap between the driver is a significant margin. So James Neve to the 43 of Luke Cooper there from 8th to 9th, that's a 10th and a half. That's almost 2 tenths. That is seen as a big margin here at Knockhill. It's quite a technical track. There's a lot of throwing the car around, don't get me wrong, but you really do have to hit the bumps at the correct angle. I mean, you've seen the cars go airborne there through the chicane. You'll see them go airborne through the first corner as well, almost. It is quite a hard track to actually get to grips with.
Very punishing over those curbs that you just saw over there. It's incredible how much momentum that they can gain. But yeah, it's always momentum based with these masses. Look at this with our new grill cam. It's just the elevation change is so drastic. It's like a mini Nürburgring. Gliding over these curbs. Whoa! Big air you get from there. And that's how you should take the racing line around here, these Mazdas.
Yeah, around Knockhill, that chicane, you basically are asking to go airborne, but you have to do it at the correct angle. You can sort of flatline it, you can sort of straight line it even, not flatline it, straight line it to an extent, but you really have to be prepared to when the car lands, you're pretty much skidding when the car lands, and you have to know how much speed you get that you're taking in, the amount of degradation your tyres have had and all this sort of thing. So it is quite difficult to get that angle right, but you can gain so much time through that chicane. Not as important though as the final corner. We've just gone through it on the in the grill cam, I think on board with Adam Delmont, currently our pole sitter. Now that final corner, it's a big long uphill section, start-finish straight, isn't it there, Tyler? And it's such a slow corner, the final corner. You really want to make sure that you straighten off the apex as much as possible so you can get on the power as early as possible.
Definitely a potential to brake as late as possible. I definitely have a hard time doing that, so I brake early before I collide with somebody ahead of me. But yeah, it is super crucial to get a final exit because that's the only proper straight around this track. And getting it right will get you a good time somewhere closer to the top 10 if you get it right.
Yeah, final corner, for anybody wondering, is called Taylor's. I've been racking my brain since we started this broadcast thinking it's Duffer's Dip, but it's not. Of course, Duffer's Dip is the first corner, and I knew that was wrong. Just had to look it up to make sure anyway. But yeah, so it is a brutally crucial corner, but to be honest, there are very little corners on this track. They're all very important. We're watching Leon Jenkins here, currently pole of the AM class category, or first place in the AM class category, I should really say. 11th overall, just behind Luke Cooper, and then Luke Pullen as well, actually. In 9th place is Leon Jenkins, gets a little bit wide out the chicane, and that's what I mean. You do have to be prepared. You have to be hitting that chicane at the right angle if you really want to get the most out of it. Good time by Adam Delmont, but he hasn't been able to improve too much so far. Andy McEwen and Jason Cooper are the other two in the top 3. Taylor, that's what we like to see in a lot of ways, isn't it? Because these top 3 drivers in the championship, they're getting very close to each other. We don't want to see them separated by any kind of margin at all in the races. We want to see them going side by side and fighting for every point.
Yeah, I definitely think that Delmont is trying to find those last few millimeters of potential speed through the corners because it is so close between the top four. Like, look how much of a deficit that is between the top three, and then it keeps going down more. It's just those fine margins that you're trying to find in these corners, the final speed, all those millimeters of asphalt and turf that you can get on the curbs. So
Yeah,
getting that
I did just
momentum like
mention and made a
here.
mistake as well,
Oh,
actually, saying that
goodness.
the top three in qualifying were also the top three of the championship. I do apologise to Tom Griffiths, who is third in the championship. Jason Cooper's down to fifth. So, yeah, that's a change of championship order since I was obviously last covering it. And Tom Griffiths has jumped his way up there in the other X-Site car. So Jason Cooper was at Monza. I've seen him in the results, but obviously having a bit of a night to forget, potentially. Anyway, the checkered flag has flown. We'll be able to give you all of the grid as soon as it's available to us. Tyler, what are we expecting here from Knockhill in these MX5s? I don't believe, or I can't remember, if BSR have been to Knockhill. I stopped covering the BSR MX5 Championship before Knockhill even came out. So I haven't been given any indication of how this might go. But the track, the cars, drivers all point towards the fact that it might be a little bit chaotic.
I definitely think a lot of drivers need to be patient through the first few laps because there's definitely going to be a few drivers that in amateur class will definitely want to make up positions, get in front in the top of their class. So it's going to be very much a patience to see if any of the front runners make mistakes. And I definitely believe that there will be a few that will do so. So seeing how they deal with making a perfect run through these races will be the deciding factor.
It will be indeed. And a driver who I haven't mentioned so far today, actually, I didn't realise, a new driver, I believe, Lewis Benny as well. You'll see him pop up on the timing screen, on the grid order now. Right, on pole position will be announced in a couple of seconds' time because Delmont and Cooper are on the front row. McEwen is in third. Seal in fourth. Smith in sixth. Clevins in seventh. McNally in eighth. Neve in ninth. Sorry, eighth. Luke Pullen in ninth. Luke Cooper in 10th. Leon Jenkins 11th. Liam Silkstone in 12th. Fiona Siddons in 13th. 14th is Kip Stevens, with 15th being Craig Schill. 16th is Craig McDonald. Glenn Humberstone 17th. Colin Sampson in 18th. 19th, Lewis Benny, the newcomer. Lars Fisher in 20th, Lee Holmes in 21st, 22nd, Tom Griffiths, bad qualifying for him, 23rd, Douglas Stewart, Mark Oliver in 24th, and Chris Dixon in 25th. And to be fair, I just said that it was a bad qualifying for Tom Griffiths there. There is a chance I didn't get to see that he might not have been able to take to qualify, and there may have been a punishment or something from Monza. Sometimes the most common, I should say, punishment that they have in the BSR is the fact that if you cause an incident or something, you're not allowed to qualify for the next meeting. That's one that we see all the time. A pretty good rule, in my opinion. Just means that you have to start right at the back of the field. And around Knockhill, that could be difficult to carve their way through. There probably is only maybe two obvious overtaking opportunities into Taylor's, the final corner, and into Duffer's Dip, the first corner. So apart from that, you're pretty much just trying to gain the momentum up and trying to get a good amount of speed to send one at the inside at one of those two corners. Basically surviving. Right. We get to see what Knockhill has in store for us here at round 6 of the BSR MX5 Championship. Adam Delmont on the left-hand side as you look at it. Jason Cooper on the right. And we are racing here for the first time on a Tuesday night. And it's an absolutely electric start by Adam Delmont's side. Jason Cooper getting a little bit bogged down. Keep in mind that drivers halfway down the field will have to start all the way uphill. It's a hill start, basically, for them. These guys don't have handbrakes. Delmont leads through Duffer's Dip and into the first couple of corners, and they're all being rather sensible, Tyler, for the time being. How long is that one going to last?
We'll definitely see for the few laps, but definitely important to get through these few corners carefully and not get some X's so that you have problems later down in the race. Definitely a big importance to not get the X.
Top 14 drivers, apart from Luke Cooper, who's just overtaken Luke Pullen, have not moved from their grid order. So that is definitely not what I was expecting. Luke Puller, there's a couple of drivers. Oh, there's a spinner there as well. And the spinner is Leon Jenkins, the AM class pole sitter, you could argue. Not actually sitting on pole, but he was top of the AM class in qualifying. Has ended up spinning and I believe has come back on. I'm not entirely sure where. Oh, but yeah, dead last place, 25th place. I suppose that's not entirely surprising because you'd have had to wait for quite a long time before starting your drive back up the hill, unfortunately. So that's a big shame for Leon Jenkins. He was going up the inside of somebody, couldn't quite see who, and ended up having a little bit of a tumble, I think. So Adam Delmont in the number 77 still leads this race. Really good exit through the penultimate corner. It means he gets a nice drive over with no threat going into Taylor's from Jason Cooper. But the top four starting to break away.
If they stay close to here, they could have an opportunity for the first corner, but that's going to be a bit of an ask. So the last corner, big spin in the background.
Big spin.
Ooh.
Nick Clibbins, Nick Clibbins coming off the back. Oh, and another one that's completely unforced. One of the Year 1 AM class drivers, Fiona Siddons. That just looked like a little bit too much speed on the exit. Maybe got to power down a little bit early and ended up going off the road and spinning round. But we didn't. That was what happened to Fiona Siddons. We didn't quite see what happened to Nick Clibbins. Now this is going to be a little bit feisty. This is Nick Clibbins, isn't it? And this midfield sort of areas, Nick Clibbins is going to get a little tap. And I think there's going to be a replay here. That was James Neeb. No, we go back live to live pictures. Lewis Benny is dropping positions like a stone. Mark Oliver is not enjoying himself too much either. Nick Clibbins has lived to fight another day as more drivers have started. This is becoming a little bit of a theme, really, isn't it? Almost the track is catching some people out, and a lot of drivers like that there. The elevation changes just behind end up just spinning the rear end out. The 513, Glenn Humberstone, ends up becoming a victim to it.
Absolutely. The momentum that you need to carry for great lap times around here is taking the risk around here. So jumping over these curbs are definitely ideal for lap times, but that is the risk that you have to take. So you'll definitely have to bite the bullets. As you can see right here, whoa, big air from these Mazdas. And it's just crucial that you have to do it, because then you'll lose time to other people that are doing it that you aren't. So big momentum that you have to take, and you see a lot of the drivers have been not gaining time and have been losing positions because of it.
Oh, Andy McEwen there getting a nice apex. Jason Cooper missing out just a touch. Now there's an opportunity here as we look from the grill cam to the back end of Jason Cooper's car. This would be a move for second position, and quite important one of the championship as well, I would say. McEwen not looking for the move into Duffer's Dip. Again, maybe just sitting there trying to bide his time, use that slipstream later on in the race. Doesn't want to become victim of it later on. It is a lot easier. Everybody says this about every single circuit, but it is a lot easier, in my opinion, around Knockhill to follow than be followed, because you can see whether the driver ahead of you takes too much speed, like Jason Cooper just did then, and I believe Adam Delmont. And both of them, I'll tell you what, there's a lovely apex there by Jason Cooper. Andy McEwen actually went in a little narrow. Adam Delmont probably went in a little bit wide, but Jason Cooper got the best run. And it's evident here because look at the angle and look at the speed he's taken into Taylor's and into the final corner. McEwen tries to square the corner off to get the best exit out of all three of them. But it looks like Jason Cooper is going to have a drag race on his hands with Adam Delmont sticking it around the outside. They're almost skirting down the wall. McEwen trying to make it three wide through Duffer's Dip. And I don't think he'll thank me for saying it, but it's never wise to do that. McEwen, the number 4, on the inside. Somehow they haven't made contact. He slots himself back into third. Adam Delmont holds off Jason Cooper. Great racing from all of these drivers, but it's getting a little bit risky. But I tell you what, we love a little bit of risk when it's controlled so perfectly as this. Adam Delmont forcing Cooper to go airborne. And look at Michael Seal coming on through from 4th position, dragging Smith with him as well. Seal goes into 4th, and after all of that, it's amazing how things can switch around. It looked like McEwen was going for the race lead. Now he's down to 4th. Jason Cooper still in 2nd.
Opportunities. That's what they've been looking for. I definitely been having in the back of my mind that they've been looking for any opportunity to find time against Adam Delmont, but definitely Adam Delmont has kept position of first place, and it's been so entertaining that he has kept hold and strong like a wall of iron. He's just keeping this 5-pack run ahead of all these other people. Whoa, I'm lost for words.
Like a wall of iron, should call him Iron Man, shouldn't we? I have just been watching the Avengers, actually. Adam Delmont goes wide, though. He may have been listening, got a little bit too quick for him. Overthinking a slightly nice angle there again from Jason Cooper, kissing the curb quite nicely, but to be fair, Adam Delmont, he's just throwing everything at it at this point. He's doing so well. At some point, you've got to think maybe those tyres are going to give out. With 8 minutes and 40 seconds left, it's a long time to have to defend in this race, and he is under an enormous amount of pressure as well. Clearly no team tactics from the Year 1 drivers between Michael Seal and Andy McEwen. Both drivers are in the top 7 of the championship, I believe, so there's absolutely no reason why one should jump out of the way of the other. James Neave, this is Luke Cullen just behind James Neave. Again, our camera's filled with the Year 1. That's not because we are Year 1 TV, it's mainly because there are so many drivers out there with the livery on board, whether it's the AM, the Pro-Am, or the Pro, of course. And, well, Luke Cullen, you can see there, sporting the Pro-Am livery. James Neave sporting the Pro livery, and the funky, almost comic book style one of the likes of Fiona Siddons is the AM class, as the driver goes off a little bit wide there. Now, who was that? Was that a back marker, potentially? I think it was. Number 40, no, it was Luke Cooper, wasn't it? So Luke Cooper is overtaken by James Neave, but he's got a really good run, actually. James Neave not actually able to really take advantage of the fact that Luke Cullen was, well, completely off the track, shall we say. Going through Taylor's, Cullen has the move back.
Absolutely action-packed everywhere for any sort of class race. And you just can see that Cooper is just trying to edge out, trying to gain a position. But, oh, he just barely does it by braking a lot later than Neave. And it just is the repercussion, because more cars are going to be coming into this pack. And we have seen Jason Cooper is leading the race, has found a way past Delmont. That is some incredible driving. But they got to watch out for all those grabble. We see a bit of a replay coming up right now. Here we are. The overtake happening into turn 1. Definitely going to be a late dive in. Yes, look at that. He sent it right in. But Delmont is definitely not hanging around. But he'll have the inside corner. And my goodness, this is some close racing. And we'll just see. Maybe it's not this lap, but here we go. And Jason Cooper still leads ahead of Delmont, and Delmont will definitely want that position back.
Just goes to show, doesn't it? You really do have to line a move up for basically an entire lap to actually make it stick. McEwen's got back past Michael Seal as well, it's worth noting. All of a sudden, Jason Cooper feeling the pressure, feeling the effect of being chased, I would say, and the fact that he's having to be the one to figure out how much speed to take through the corners, because he's left him vulnerable to a charging Adam Delmont going into Taylor's. And we know this is going to be entertaining. How desperate they're going to get. McEwen tries to get that lovely cutback. Doesn't quite sweep across the back end of Adam Delmont. But as we're on board with McEwen, I wouldn't be surprised if we see both of these drivers try and go 3 wide almost. McEwen having a glance up the inside, but Delmont trying to cover that off. Or is he attacking up front? We're not entirely sure. He's probably doing a little tad of both, to be honest. McEwen early on the brakes, rolls off the brakes a little bit earlier as well, just to try and get a better view of what's going on up ahead. Runs a little bit wide as well as they hit the chicane. Michael Seal has been dropped probably by a tenth or two on that previous lap. Number 27 of Sam Smith keeping him company for the top 5. Really good driving by Sam Smith, actually. Normally when I see that Excite car, we're expecting it to be Tom Griffiths, but actually Sam Smith really doing a fantastic job of keeping with these front 4. I mean, to be fair, Tyler, the front 4 are pretty much falling over each other every single lap, which is what we enjoy, but it does mean that the likes of some other drivers can actually keep up and have an opportunity to get a podium.
Yeah, Adam McNally is definitely closing in close, as he's all alone. He doesn't have a train of other drivers pushing him towards the front 5, but it's definitely getting closer every lap he gets. And it's just super close at the front and throughout the pack. As you see, Poland still leads Pro-Am, Jenkins leads the AM category, so it is close all over.
Yeah, and if anybody out there is wondering how the BSR MX5 works, or BSR in general, actually, we have obviously qualifying. That dictates the grid for race number 1, which is 15 minutes. All the races are 15 minutes tonight. There are 4 in total. The next 3 after this one are dictated by a random reverse grid. So we'll bring up a spinning wheel. That'll have 5 or 6 numbers on it, and the reverse grid could be anywhere from 9th to a full reverse grid, which is everyone who hasn't been lapped more than twice, basically. So if you've been lapped once, you're still eligible for the full reverse grid, but not if you've been lapped twice or more. This is Mark Oliver in 18th place in the 999. Bit of no man's land for Mark Oliver there, unfortunately. I'm not entirely sure. I think Leon Jenkins, who dropped down to 25th position, remember, on that opening lap, is still leading the AM class now. He's managed to pull their way back and all the way up to 17th, and may have been taking advantage of a few other drivers falling off the circuit later in the race, but still impressive there by Leon Jenkins. And I don't believe Adam Fox is the other AM driver who's normally at the front end of the AMs. He's not here tonight, as far as I can tell anyway. He might turn up a little bit later, so really good opportunity for Leon Jenkins to score some really valuable points. And Fiona Siddons and, of course, the rest of the AM class field. Now, Fiona getting a lot, very loose, in fact, through the second and third corner. And that's the sort of thing that, around Knockhill, Tyler, it looks like everybody's completely out of control. But you see a difference, don't you, when you see the top 4 or 5 going at it, going through these corners and sliding, and it's all looks uncontrolled. But actually, when you spot a driver who really is struggling to get that back end in check, all of a sudden you realise how quick the top 5 are.
Absolutely. Just seeing all the madness they have to do to get these lap times around and then continuously do it is just an immense appreciation of how they handle these Mazdas. Is just insane how they drive it. I can't even do it. How quickly they've been doing, I'd probably be 2 seconds back if not for these guys.
Yeah, well, at least you can drive the damn thing. There's a reason why I'm a commentator and not an actual racer on the sim anymore. Luke Pullen almost defending, but actually really late on the brakes. I think he's overshot that. Lee Holmes is going to have a nice, easy run up the inside. Didn't run the car as wide, probably didn't get on the power quite as early as a consequence, so it's going to be a drag race. Just up ahead, Luke Cooper and James Neve. Really nicely having a battle here as well. This is the fight for around about the top 7, I believe. And again, it doesn't really matter where you look in BSR MX5 action. You're going to find someone enjoying themselves. And hopefully these guys are a big lunge up the inside there by Lee Holmes on Luke Pullen. He should hang him out wide enough to get that move done. But no, Luke Pullen with a really good run, actually somehow through the gravel and able to get back on the circuit out ahead of Lee Holmes. Not entirely sure how he managed that, but he did. So a fair play to him. And then Neve not taking advantage fully of Luke Cooper either, getting a little bit sideways. Delmont, how much is he trying to crowbar that gap open on the inside of Luke Cooper? He's just trying to take advantage of anything and actually left him vulnerable here to a charging Andy McEwen. Now, last time Andy went into Duff and Stip side by side, they were 3 wide for the race lead. How is he going to get on with just being 2 wide? He's going to get on a little bit better, I can tell you that, because he's still there for second place. He should have it in the bag if he runs Delmont out a little bit wide, which is exactly what he's done. Not too much, but just enough to ruin Delmont's run. No, it's not. Delmont going side by side through the chicane, forcing McEwen off a little bit, and then actually holding on to the position. Again, we're seeing these wide lines, these gravel traps not really taking the effect as we thought they would. And Sam Smith an absolute charge up the inside of Michael Seal. Luckily not taking out McEwen. It's ruined his run out of the penultimate corner, but somehow, and I'm not 100% sure how, Tyler, Delmont held on to second place. Oh, my days, I was about to say, but not for much longer, because McEwen's about to bin him, but he managed to hold on to the brakes for long enough.
Oh, Seal and Smith are absolutely side by side for this whole run. And it's just an amazing present to give to Cooper. Jason Cooper is leading over a second. My goodness.
Yeah, happy birthday to him. Final lap of the race and all, so there's not even any chance that Delmont's going to be able to get back. McEwen basically made the decision that the race lead, the race win was going to be Jason Cooper's. McEwen just wanted the opportunity to get that second place away from Delmont, and who can blame them? Delmont and McEwen are championship rivals. Jason Cooper is, I don't want to say all the way down in 5th, because that's obviously not all the way down, but it's still 5th place is a big difference between 1st and 2nd, shall we say. So, yeah, understandable, but the checkered flag is about to drop, and it's going to drop for Jason Cooper. It took him a fair few laps to try and get into that race lead. Delmont with an absolutely brilliant defence for the most part, and actually, to be fair, all race in whatever position he was defending. But Jason Cooper found he was too strong for him, and he takes the checkered flag to take the first win of the night here at Knockhill for round 6 of the BSR MX5 Championship. Adam Delmont, McEwen, Smith and Seal round out the top 5 as everybody else is piling to try and get into 7th place. Luke Cooper, Lee Holmes, James Neve, Luke Pullen and Lars Fisher were the top 11, and we'll be able to bring you the rest of the order in a couple of minutes' time as we see a few of the other drivers getting over the line. Leon Jenkins, that's the winner of the AM class category, and Luke Pullen was the winner of the Pro-Am category. But Tyler, I mean, that's a good start to the evening. We didn't see too much contact, as we saw a little bit, but that's always going to be the case. We didn't see too much of it. There was no malicious contact anyway, and to be honest, the next 3 races, reverse grids, everybody's going to have to be as patient as that all night long.
My goodness, I am really concerned of how much these guys have been taking these track limits seriously, because it is like they threw it out of the bag.
It did indeed. Right, Graham Sesford, I believe, is about to bring our faces back. There we go. And speak of the Devils, here we are. Spinning wheel time. It's the random reverse grid that I was talking about. As you can see, anywhere from, I believe that's 8th place, 8th, 9th, 10th, 12th, 15th, or a full reverse grid. And we'll be able to spin it now. You can make the sound effects at home if you really want to. And it will be 12 reverse grids. So the top 12, keep that in mind when we read out the results. Very important, that one. A good mid-range number there, Tyler, just to start us off nicely for tonight.
Yeah, that's kind of nicely have for a race 2. Get the top 12 and switch them around. Flip them around. Just get it nicely done. And I think we'll see a lot more action than we saw in race 1. That was full of pack for the race lead.
Yeah, I was going to say, we saw plenty of action in race 1. I think what we're probably expecting out of race 2 is carnage. No, I'm kidding. It'll be probably a little bit more assertive and a little less consistent. It's probably the political way of saying it, isn't it? I mean, the moves that we saw, especially in the top 10, actually, the fight for the top 5 and the fight for 7th place backwards, really. The moves that they were pulling off and the standard of racing was very consistent, wasn't it? And that's what we like to see in racing. But when we chuck in a reverse grid, it can get a little bit desperate.
Yeah, definitely a lot of drivers they finished in the top 3, in the top 5, will definitely want to repeat it and continue getting consistent points so they can definitely charge up the standings for the championship. So definitely expect a lot of moves around in the top 15.
Absolutely, yeah, and we can see how that's going to line up in a couple of seconds' time, because, of course, we've got to do the top 3 first. Jason Cooper on the top of the podium, Adam Delmont in 2nd place, and Andy McEwen ended up in 3rd. You can see the confirmation of the top 3, plus the rest of the drivers there. I'll read them out. Sam Smith in 4th, Michael Seal in 5th, 6th, Adam McNally, Luke Cooper in 7th, Lee Holmes in 8th, James Neve in 9th, with Luke Pullen winning the Pro-Am category and rounding out the top 10 overall. Lars Fisher in 11th, Liam Silkstone in 12th, Craig McDonald in 13th. I just missed our pole position for race number 2, and I was trying so hard to remember. But Liam Silkstone will be on pole, and he'll line up alongside Lars Fisher on the front row of the grid for race number 2. Craig McDonald, as I said, was in 13th. Tom Griffiths in 14th, Nick Clibbins in 15th, Kip Stevens 16th, Leon Jenkins 17th, 18th Mark Oliver, 19th Douglas Stewart, and 20th Craig Schill. A few more drivers to read off: Glenn Humberstone, Fiona Siddons, Lewis Benny, Chris Dixon, and Colin Sampson. And to be fair, and I think this is the first time this season potentially, every single driver was a point-scoring driver in that particular race, all 25, because as I said in the race, Chris Dixon and Colin Sampson, if you're 1 lap down, you still score points and are eligible for the reverse grid. If you're 2 or more, then you're not eligible. Everybody was, which is brilliant. So, fantastic. Well done to them. We're going to go to a very quick break, me and Tyler, so we can go and get another drink. They keep us thirsty here at the MX5 Championship. We'll be back with you in about 5-6 minutes' time. Hello and welcome back for race number 2 of the evening coming up. Top 12 reverse grid if anybody was remembering, and hopefully you'll remember who was on pole position better than I can. I think it was Liam Silkstone, and I believe it was Lars Fischer lining up alongside. Tyler, you're nodding, so I'm hoping that we got that right.
Yeah, you got that right, and I remember to not be muted this time.
It's a good start. It's a good start. Right, what we tend to do before we go into race 2 or 3 or 4, to be fair, is have a very quick look at the championship standings. Now, I am springing this on Graham Sessford, so I'm going to stall for... No, it doesn't need me to stall. Look at that. Right on cue. Tyler, run us down.
So Adam Delmont still leads by quite a small margin of only 100 points. And then you see Tom Griffiths just close behind. And Jason Cooper, was, as we saw, a last race winner, is now jumped up to 4th.
He has indeed, yeah. And Nick Clibbins has dropped down to 5th as a consequence. And just to round out the top 10, we'll just do the top 10. Michael Seal has gone up to 6th. Adam McNally is up to 7th. James Neve has dropped down to 8th. Stevens is up to 9th. Jamie Gulliford has dropped down to 10th. And to be fair, the reason why we only do the top 10 is because most of them outside the top 10 have pretty much stayed as they were. Jamie Gulliford in the top 10 is a Pro-Am driver as well, of course, for Year One TV, because unlike Alpine, we know who our drivers are here at Year One TV. Adam Delmont for the XI Esports, the profile that you can see on your screen right now, a lot of race wins to his name. 5 race wins out of the 21 starts, nearly a 25% win ratio. Average finishing position at 4.52. You're always going to be in with a strong championship shout if you're averaging within the top 5 consistently over the course of a season in pretty much any championship that you enter into. So a little bit of a lesson there for a few of the drivers. Obviously started out his round 1 pretty strong. Round 3 and 4, maybe not up to his usual high standards, but apart from that, he's been pretty damn consistent, I would say. And Tyler, there's a reason why he is the driver to beat at the moment in the championship.
Absolutely. You can just see how many wins he has stacked up. Just 5 over the many others. And the podium consistency, that is crucial for a championship run. We only have 10 races, but there are only 4 more left, if that's correct. Yes. So
4
it
more
is crucial
evenings of racing. I believe. So we've got 16... Yes, no, you're right. Yeah, 4 more evenings of racing, so 16 races left. There we go. Right, so we'll be able to bring you all up to date with all of that as obviously you can see it on Year One TV here. So please do like, subscribe, comment, tell us how we're doing such a brilliant or terrible job in the commentary. Anything to get a bit of engagement with you guys as fans as well. And please do share the video as well. I mean, if you share it, that'll be absolutely awesome. Especially if you're racing in the series. You want your friends and family to come along, see you potentially take pole position, see you potentially get turned around in T1, or potentially take a win. Anything might happen in sim racing, and you want to be able to make sure that people, friends and family, want to see it. So yeah, it's all of the buttons basically down below, apart from the dislike button in the YouTube. It would be greatly appreciated. But Tyler, you're one of the drivers that is... you're one of the production team here at Year One TV who's responsible for the graphics, aren't you, as well? For a lot of the graphics, I should say. I'm not sure all of them might be doing a disservice to Graham, but I think they're all of them. How has it been working with not only Graham, but Year One TV and the BSR MX5 Championship?
It's been really exciting. A lot of experience to pull off something like this. And I do a lot of the social media and stuff. So a lot of stuff you see for the posters and the graphics over there is a lot of my doing. And a lot of the stuff that you see right now on the broadcast is a huge props to Graham Sessford. He's been pulling all this stuff off, and I had a bit of input in, but it's all his doing, so it looks really clean around here.
Does indeed, yeah. You've got to give a shout out to both yourself and to Graham Sessford. I just turn up on a Tuesday and talk and get paid for it. I had the best job, to be honest. But to be fair, a lot of the drivers probably say they got the best job. Well done. Right, we're about to go into the race. So we'll be able to give you the grid order for race number 2 here this evening at Knockhill for round number 6 of the BSR MX5 Championship. There we go. We can see a lovely shot at the final corner. Hopefully, we'll be able to bring you the grid as well. I'll probably start reading it off just in case because things do move quite quickly. Liam Silkstone on pole position. He'll line up alongside Lars Fischer in second. Luke Pullen in third. James Neve in fourth. Fifth, Lee Holmes. Sixth was Luke Cooper. Seventh, Adam McNally. Eighth, Michael Seal. Ninth, Sam Smith. Andy McEwen in 10th. 11th, Adam Delmont. And 12th is our race 1 winner, Jason Cooper. John Griffiths in 14th. 15th, Nick Libbins. Kip Stevens in 16th. Leon Jenkins in 17th. Mark Oliver in 18th. 19th is Douglas Stewart. Greg Schill in 20th, Glenn Humberstone in 21st, 22nd Fiona Siddons, Lewis Benny is in 23rd, 24th Chris Dixon, and 25th Colin Sampson. And that is damn good timing if I don't say so myself. Apologies if it's a bit rushed, but I don't have control of when the lights will go out. Speaking of which, they are out. Liam Silkstone with a good start. Lars Fischer in second place, maybe getting a little bit bogged down in the second phase of acceleration. Luke Pullen looking interested to try and get up his inside, but actually goes back down to the racing line. Hopefully everybody's a little bit as patient as they were in race number 1. There seems to be a little bit of sideways action, potentially a bit of drifting action, and a lot of crashing action as well for that particular driver. And I think it was Adam McNally who's plummeted down 18 positions and into the tyre wall, into 25th position. Greg McDonald in 24th has equally not had a fantastic start to his second race of the evening. The rest of the drivers seem to have been a little bit more patient. Nick Libbins has made up 3 positions. Mark Oliver up 5 respectively as well. Lars Fischer has got into the race lead. Liam Silkstone in second place. Luke Pullen in third. James Neve is the Year 1 Pro driver who's looking at the inside into the last corner. He's just about got that managed to be pulled off as well, ahead of Lee Holmes. But there's going to be a drag race across the line and into Duffer's Dip. Lars Fischer, well, we're used to seeing a 5-star car in the lead of the race. This time, though, it's Lars Fischer, not Jason Cooper. James Neve is going to be on the outside, actually, going into T1, fighting with Lee Holmes. Good drive off the final corner for James Neve, and he almost had the position sewn up as well, but it wasn't quite to be.
So just out of the pits, Adam McNally is now a lap down. So very unfortunate for the pro driver to not get his way through this race, but definitely the best opportunity and present to give out is Lawrence Fischer is just leading away from the chunk of Year 1 drivers behind.
Yeah, well, there's pretty much a chunk of these drivers behind anywhere, isn't there? There's just constantly a stream of Year 1 cars anywhere you look on this grid, which is what we love to see. Obviously, the team has grown. I believe last season it was only Andy McEwen who was sporting the Year 1 livery in the Pro category anyway. I could be mistaken in the Pro-Ams or the AMs. So, yeah, nice to see that there's a bit more of an influx of Year 1 colours out there at the moment. And obviously, plenty of other drivers. I think I came back and did a guest round commentating, and I think there was like 5 or 6 5-star drivers back then. They've obviously split off a little bit. That was about 5-6 seasons ago now, actually. But the 2 drivers of Lars Fischer and Jason Cooper certainly not letting the numbers outweigh their potential victories, because they are absolutely flying here. And quite often we see, if not one of them winning, then the other one does as well. Lars Fischer, quite often in these reverse grid races, as soon as he gets some clear air, is able to pull away, and that's exactly what he's doing now. Liam Silkstone, now, to be fair to him, a lot of movement in the background there. I'll come back onto Liam Silkstone in a minute, because I think the fight for about 7th place, Smith and Seal and everybody else, is starting to heat up just in the background here, going into Duffer's Dip. They're going to go 3 wide, actually, just behind, I think, Seal, McEwen and Cooper. Yep, there they go. And unlike race 1, 3 wide doesn't go into Duffer's Dip. Who are we on board with here? And that's Seal, isn't it, who's been spun round. Tyler, it felt inevitable in the first race. It definitely was there.
Yeah, if it didn't happen in the first race, like you said, it will happen in the second race, and it's happened all over the place, and it's just a huge consequence for the later races down the road. You can definitely see how it has helped out other drivers to do so.
Yeah, no, this isn't the move we were looking for. We're trying to get a replay of it, but big news while we try and find that: Jason Cooper has retired from the race. He's got into the pit lane. Oh. Jason Cooper, race 1 winner, will not be finishing this race, at least on the lead lap. He may well come back out, but look at the front end of that car. There's no fast repairs available for that one, is there? He'll be stuck in the pits, and I imagine will just retire and come back for race number 3. Big news there in terms of championship for Jason Cooper, who has missed a round, which is why he's not necessarily within the top 3. Nick Clibbins can get round and actually finish the race. He might be able to take 4th place back from him in the championship. His teammate Lars Fischer, though, is doing an absolutely sterling job at the moment.
Absolutely. He's just pulling away from Liam Holes, is just doing his own... Ooh, he's just driving around like it's a Sunday evening. Just walking around, sunset in the back. Definitely a big problem there with the sunset going to the chicane. That'd be a huge problem for all these drivers. That's what I've been thinking all this time. And Mark Oliver is leading the AM category as Poland is leading the Pro-Am category. So that is some great news for those two.
Liam Silkstone, who started on pole position, I was giving lots of praise for before. To be fair, did very well to hold on to that sort of top 2 for about 5 minutes. Has now fallen down to 6th overall, unfortunately. So Liam Silkstone not quite having the mid-race that he was hoping for, because of course this is now qualifying as the mid-race. We've had 5 minutes, so there's about 9 minutes to go. Oh, about 10 minutes to go, I should say, actually. Mark Oliver in the top 10. For an AM driver, that's fairly good going. You'd be pretty happy with that one.
I'd be thrilled. It's just a nice day. He has such a big lead to Colin Sampson in 16th, so he has 5 drivers just behind him, so he can do whatever he like. He could continue to battle with these Pro-Ams and Pro drivers to get a great position here for 10th, or he can just let him by and just get the class win. And as you see, he's just doing that. He just let over another 88 Tech car by. Ooh, that is a mare.
Yeah, so Mark Oliver actually running a little bit wide through the first couple of corners. It's put him off shape, but Kip Stevens hasn't been able to take any kind of advantage of it. Adam Delmont, championship leader, of course, in 8th place, and following Andy McEwen, who was involved in that sort of 3-way pile-up in the first corner, but it was definitely his teammate Michael Seal who came off worse. Not sure who the other drivers were involved in that one. Well, one of the driver that was involved in that one, to be honest. Lost track of it in all the commotion, but McEwen has definitely survived it, I would say, in 7th place and in a good position to attack pole sitter Liam Silkstone, who, as I said, doesn't seem to quite have the run or quite have the overall pace compared to a lot of the other drivers around him for the time being. And there we go. There's the example. Silkstone goes wide. He slides wide. Andy McEwen and Adam Delmont potentially. Yeah, Adam Delmont gets through them very nicely. So.
Just looking at the front, and Lars Fischer has been making some small mistakes that Lee Holmes is taking advantage. So he's gotten really, really close to decrease that gap that Fischer had at the beginning of the race. And it's just closed down to within a second. Half a second.
Yeah, and I'm just having a look. That previous lap, yeah, a 54.83. Now that is very, very quick from Lee Holmes specifically. Lars Fischer didn't exactly do slow time, I don't believe. Actually, no, sorry, I'm mistaken. I was looking at their best times overall so far in this race. I didn't catch their last one. Lars Fischer actually put in his best lap of the race on that previous lap. So even though he was pulled in by Lee Holmes, Lars Fischer getting it back together nice and quickly. James Neve has been dropped somewhat though, hasn't he? It's was going to be potentially his race at one point. It looked like he was carving through the field. He looks like nothing was holding him back. Now, 3rd place looks to be just a bit off the pace. Doesn't have it quite under his bonnet to be able to challenge for the top 2.
I wouldn't count him out just yet. There's plenty of time for him to catch up to these two, and we've definitely seen how much these guys are pushing as they're going onto the gravel, finding these extra margins to just push the limits to find these lap times. And you can definitely see that Lee Holmes has caught up to Fischer, so it's possible for Neve to catch up to these guys. And you can see these train that is being pulled over by Luke Cooper is catching up.
Yeah, as long as they don't start falling over each other, there's no real reason why these guys can't work together to get a bit of a jump. Adam Delmont's just gone and put a purple sector 3. He's at the back of this four-way battle. And if he's at the back of it, there's no reason why, and he's not been able to get back through very quickly. There's no reason why they can't, as I said, work together to push forward a little bit. We'll have to wait and see what their ambitions is as they get into the final 5 minutes. I get the impression that this is probably about as high up as they're going to be able to get, and the fight for 4th place. James Neave in a little bit of no man's land, a bit like Adam McNally was in race number 1, in that sort of lonely 6th position that he found himself in for quite a significant amount of time. Lee Holmes, nice and close now. This could be heating up. Do you reckon he's just biding his time, Lee Holmes, to be able to really push on and make that sort of pressure count on Lars Fischer?
I definitely believe if I was Lee Holmes, I would really want to get as close as I can to the back of Fischer and make an opportunity for a move into the last corner. As you can see how close he gets. So look for a late breaking move. It's definitely not the opportunity right now. So the last few minutes and last few seconds will be the place I will take the opportunity to overtake for first.
Yeah, I'm sure Holmes is probably thinking exactly the same thing as well. To be fair, I would say for the majority of this race, bar 1 or 2 small incidents, and, you know, touch wood, commentators curse aside and all that sort of thing. Again, we've had a fairly good race in terms of driving standards here, Tyler. There's been nothing that you're out there that we've seen that you really think, oh, that's silly, or that's malicious, or that's overly ambitious.
Well, probably on the broadcast here, so maybe some stuff has been happening in the background. But yes, definitely clean
we like to ignore
racing.
That,
I'm sure I'll be finding that on my own going around here, but clean racing, definitely clean racing from everybody around here.
Yeah, only 3 drivers who ended up retiring, which I know 3 drivers retiring isn't ideal. Out of 25, I expected quite a lot more. Lee Holmes might be one of them, though. Oh, I'll tell you what, there is the opportunity gone, isn't it? Lars Fischer been given the gift of the evening, I would say, and he's managed to survive that pressure for long enough for Lee Holmes to crumble under it himself. Second place man is going to have a large task now to catch up. James Neave will smell the blood in the water. Adam Delmont has gotten through on all of those drivers that were fighting for 4th. He's got ahead of Silkstone, he's got ahead of Clibbins, he's got ahead of Luke Cooper, and McEwen has fallen behind Luke Cooper, so there must have been some kind of incident there, because McEwen's nowhere to be seen. We've already seen him going off after a 3-wide incident around turn 1. He managed to survive that and keep going. It looks like race 2, he has, it looks like at some point during this race 2, he's come a cropper again, and we don't know what happened. We just know that he's not in this fight anymore. So Delmont, how quick is he going? Is there going to be any opportunity with 5 laps to go? Adam Delmont on the previous lap was 2 seconds slower, than the drivers at the front end of the field. So that incident, whatever happened, I assume would have happened on that previous lap. In fact, yeah, Luke Cooper and Andy McEwen both with a 1 minute 4 second lap time, nearly 10 seconds slower than the front of the pack. Delmont put it in a pretty much identical time as Lars Fischer is, so there's no catching for Delmont at the moment. This is McEwen on Luke Cooper, who we've seen quite a lot in the cameras tonight here at Knockhill, and McEwen we've also seen quite a lot of in this second race, not for the reasons he'll be enjoying, I'm sure, though. Michael Seal, who did come a cropper in that previous incident down Duffer's Dip, is also in 9th place, so again, a good recovery drive from him.
It's definitely the mental game long term that you see from all these drivers at the top. So McEwen and Delmont and Cooper and all these other names that you can hear us talking about. It's all about how you do your races, how you plan these races out, and how you prepare for all of these, and getting the points consistently and getting that deficit from the others. As you can see, my goodness, Seal's absolutely all over these two. And it's just going to be that game that they're playing, like the chess. And, ooh, this is a great move by McEwen. Ooh, beautiful.
He's not going to be able to make it stick there. And again, the game of chess at one point, it looked like McEwen had that perfectly done and dusted. It looked like Seal was going to potentially have a go as well. But through all of it, somehow, Luke Cooper has managed to hold on to the position. And that is the nature of Knockhill. You can hold your own around here, and it makes it very difficult to actually pass cleanly as McEwen gets a little bit squirrely not under braking or anything, but actually on the grass. Really late on the brakes, though, as he tries to fly some momentum around the outside. Is he going to be able to get the cutback? No, he's not, but is he going to get a good run? He got on the power nice and clean, and it looks like Cooper going for that defensive mid-line. Seal on the grass, and it's not a mid-line at all, is it? That Luke Cooper is going very, very defensively. Andy McEwen trying to go around the outside. No, he's going to try exactly the same move he did before. He didn't quite get the apex that time. But look at that. He fakes the inside for turn number 3 and tries to go to the outside. He's going to get hung out there, though. Had to miss the apex. Luke Cooper, again, with a perfectly placed car, just put McEwen off enough as he flies so much momentum over that curve. It's an overtaking opportunity if he can get up the inside. But again, Cooper goes defensive and holds on in through the penultimate corner. McEwen doesn't quite get the speed required off the corner, or the speed that he looked like he was going to. And he's going to try yet again for the outside line through Taylor. This is the final lap of the race that we're on to, ladies and gentlemen. Lars Fischer has already started it, so this is going to be a lap and 1 corner's worth of racing left to go for McEwen and Cooper. McEwen looks like he's finally got a good enough run out of the final corner to be able to potentially even get over to the inside to defend this into Duffer's Dip. He's not going over. He's remaining on the racing line. Probably sensible to not get his back end cut off. But Cooper, again, holds on to it. And this is great racing, but it is going to be extremely frustrating for the Year 1 drivers. However, the 5-star drivers, very, very pleased with this. But look how Lee Holmes has caught up to Lars Fischer. I said it was dead and buried, this battle for the race lead. Not quite dead and buried. One more lap, and we may well have been shouting about a potential race lead change. But as it is, it's a double 5-star victory here today at Knockhill. This time, though, it goes the way of Lars Fischer. Lee Holmes in 2nd place, and James Neve rounds out the podium for the Year 1 drivers in 3rd. Adam Delmont in 4th, and Liam Silkstone is in 5th. Nick Clibbins in 6th. Luke Cooper and Andy McEwen drag race to the line. How is this one going to end? Is Michael Seal going to give him a tap at the backside to try and give him the extra edge? I think it may have been an attempt to put a bit of a push on Andy McEwen there, but it didn't quite work. So Luke Cooper 7th, Andy McEwen and Michael Seal 8th and 9th. Wow, I tell you what, as final laps go, that's pretty, pretty on your edge stuff, isn't it, Tyler?
My goodness, it's really close, as you can see, throughout the field. And it is just super important that you get these points. Lars Fischer has done what he needed to do to help out his championship for the next few races. So it's definitely these important races that happen that you get these wins so you don't have problems down the line. So, my goodness, it is just that incredible racing that you get from BSR.
It is indeed, and we'll be able to bring you up the reverse grid wheel. Speak of the Devils, yet again, great timing there by Graham Sessford, and we can spin the wheel. It's that way, isn't it? And all that sort of thing. We've actually changed a few of the numbers. We've actually added some higher ones, and the one we've added, or one of the ones we've added, has been pinged as number 17. So previously, I think 12 was the highest reverse grid we had available to us, apart from the full reverse grid, of course. This time we have 17, and that's exactly what's come up. So remember the number 17. It'll be quite interesting, actually. I'm just having a look at the finishing results that will bring you up in a couple of seconds' time. A new challenge, though, Tyler, isn't it? Because 17 in a small track going to be a little bit more difficult for those front-running drivers to carve their way through.
Absolutely. It's just going to be the patience of the pro drivers to get around all these pro-ams and amateurs. Sorry, am drivers getting around here. So it is that patience that I keep repeating that all these drivers that are going to be having. If they don't, stuff like that you saw, those big wrecks will cost you so much and will cost you so many points for the long-term races.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, patience is definitely the key word that we'll be looking for. And of course, consistency has to go hand in hand with that as well. And consideration, a term that I probably have never heard used in a motorsport sense, but that sort of consideration for the other drivers around you as well. And the fact that, you've got your race to drive. They've obviously got their championships and their personal interbattles as well. And when pros, pro-ams and ams all start to mix, sometimes I've found, being an am and a pro in previous racing lives, the pros certainly get a little bit, not hot-headed, but they sort of mistake that they think that their race is more important, which absolutely is not the case, just because they are a pro driver. And when you get them all mixed in together, heads can get a little bit heated, can't they? Which is always a bit of a danger.
They get impatient is the right word, and I would be absolutely frustrated if I was any of the pro drivers being stuck behind an AM driver defending for his life, or just doing some reckless things that a pro driver wouldn't be doing, like taking a line differently or something.
Yeah, we'll have to make sure that hopefully they don't do that. So we're just trying to wait for the final finishing positions and the podiums and everything like that we usually run through. And remember, the number 17 is the number to be looking out for in the reverse grid for race number 3. So if we're able to go to the finishing results in a couple of seconds' time, we'll let you know. Otherwise, we'll go to a very quick break and try and bring them up before the next race. But that's a little bit more difficult with servers and everything like that. So we're going to try and hold on for the time being. Our first experience broadcasting here at Knockhill, Tyler, I think it's been a positive one so far.
Yeah, I'm quite liking this track. And it's just been a great experience seeing how much the drivers are pushing the limits. Like, I've been seeing so many over on my second monitor. They're pushing so far into the gravel that I'm concerned how much they're going to get in terms of X's before they get disqualified.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm actually very surprised that the gravel trap doesn't slow you down as much as I thought it would. Quite a lot of drivers are able to run that extra and maybe run the outside tyres onto that gravel, keep their foot in, and actually, keep the position or even make an overtake, actually. And is that something that maybe you think iRacing should have a look at? Should there be a bit more of a punishment if you do put your tyres on the gravel? Because you should slow down rather significantly.
I do think that it could drastically change, but we have to look at how real life works. That's how iRacing is basing everything on, how the physics work for tires, on how they change. So if it's not the same, then it needs to be done something about it.
I was going to say, having been in far too many gravel traps myself in real life, I know full well that they don't bring an advantage, put it that way. Right, Lars Fisher is taking the overall victory, confirmation of your podium there. Lee Holmes in second place, and James Neve in third. Confirmation of the top 3 then, and the rest of the field, of course. Adam Delmont, remember 17 is the number we're looking for. Adam Delmont in 4th, Liam Silkstone is 5th and takes the Pro-Am victory after starting on pole position as well. Nick Clibbins in 6th, Luke Cooper in 7th, Andy McEwen in 8th, Michael Seal in 9th, Douglas Stewart rounds out the top 10. 11th place, Sam Smith, 12th, Craig Schill, and Kip Stevens in 13th, Tom Griffiths in 14th, Luke Pullen in 15th, Leon Jenkins takes the victory in the AM class with 16th overall, and on pole position will be 17th place man, Glenn Humberstone. So Glenn Humberstone and Leon Jenkins will be on the front row for race number 3. Fiona Siddons in 18th, Craig McDonald in 19th, Mark Oliver rounds out the top 20. And then, unlike in race 1, we did have a few non-scorers. Adam McNally did score. He was a lap down in 21st. Colin Sampson didn't, know. 3 laps down in 22nd. Lewis Penny, 11 laps down in 23rd. Jason Cooper, 13 laps down in 24th. And Chris Dixon, 15 laps down in 25th place. Right. We're going to go to a very quick break because, yet again, I've gone through an entire glass of water. So we obviously need to go and rehydrate before race 3 takes our breath away once again. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. Hello and welcome back for race number 3. Me and Tyler are still here, and unlike Adam McNally's Rift, we're still working. Unfortunately, Adam McNally ended up not able to finish that race because of his VR headset basically shutting down. So hopefully he gets that fixed. But that is one of the reasons why we lost a driver there, Tyler. A bit of a shame because there were a few more retirements in that one than we were hoping for.
Yeah, it's a shame for something to happen to like that. And in virtual racing, those are one of the consequences of having a problem. Instead of your car breaking down, you can have your rig turn off.
Yeah, and they could be just as much of a mystery as well. I can't tell you the amount of times that I got into the real car and I ended up, something would go wrong or break and unexplained reasons or something, and I'd take it back and you have a mechanic there. And the mechanic is very good. And the mechanic is able to find out what's wrong and replace it. And yeah, they'll invoice you for afterwards, but you're pretty confident that they're going to be able to do that. If something like your Oculus Rift or your computer breaks halfway through a race or something like that, it's on you, isn't it? And if you're not a computer expert, that can be a little bit of a stressful situation, especially if you're trying to get out for race number 3.
I'm not much of a computer expert. I had everything pre-made by a good friend of mine. So I'm pretty thankful that everything still works around here. But I'm just praying that everything doesn't change.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I got mine from PC Specialist, and if anything broke on it, I would be screwed, especially if I had to fix it within like 3 minutes, because of course you don't have all the parts and everything like that. So fingers crossed, Adam McNally will be back with us. I think he did have a similar problem with his Rift a couple of weeks ago as well, actually, last time I was covering. Maybe not Monza last week, but the week before, certainly. And yeah, he ended up having to retire from the race then. But he did come back, and he did race the last couple of races. So fingers crossed that happens. Again, right, we might be able to bring you up the championship order just before we go into race 3 of the evening. We've got about a minute and a bit left. There we go. Tyler, why don't you run us through it?
So Adam McNally still leads ahead with 17,933 points. And we see Andy McEwen just closely behind. He's grabbing as much points as he can and trying to make sure that Adam Dillon doesn't get as much as he. And Tom Griffiths just behind, as well as Nick Clibbins. And Jason Cooper, unfortunately, has gone down after race 2. And you see James Neve, Michael Seal, Adam McNally, Kip Stevens, and Sam J. Smith is now up in the top 10.
He is indeed, actually. Yeah, he's done quite well. Jamie Gulliford, who I actually remember seeing here at all this evening, which is why he might be tumbling down the order. Yeah, he isn't here, actually. Or he's not in for the 3rd race, anyway. Bit of a shame for him, as you shoot back to me whilst I'm reading. Unfortunately, I have to keep looking at the camera, Tyler. I'm sure you'll probably appreciate this. I have to keep looking at the camera and everything like that, but all of my stats are in this direction. So I completely look like I'm not paying attention at all. Oh, there we go. Isn't that much nicer? So I can read the stats off the screen there. Adam Delmont, and Andy McEwen, they started this evening out with 102 points different between them. It's only 117, and considering you score about 100 per race or whatever it is, silly here at BSR MX5, that's a very good night's work for both of them. They're pretty much equaling each other out.
You definitely get a lot of points here in BSR. So it's very confusing for newcomers to see, like, wow, they got so many points.
It is indeed, yeah, but we just about keep up with it here. Right, Glenn Humberstone will be on pole position. Leon Jenkins in 2nd place, Luke Pullen in 3rd, Tom Griffiths in 4th, rounding out the top 5. Kip Stevens, 6th is Craig Schill, 7th Sam Smith, 8th is Douglas Stewart, 9th Michael Seal. Andy McEwen rounds out the top 10. 11th Luke Cooper, Nick Clibbins in 12th, 13th Liam Silkstone, 14th Adam Delmont, 15th James Neve, Lee Holmes in 16th, and our race 2 winner was 17th place man Lars Fisher. Fiona Siddons in 18th, 19th Craig McDonald, 20th Mark Oliver, 21st Adam McNally, 22nd Colin Sampson, Jason Cooper in 23rd, and Chris Dixon in 24th. That means we've lost one driver, which is a bit of a shame, but I can't quite remember who that is for the time being. So we'll focus on race 3, which is about to get underway, because I can hear engine notes rising. I can see lights appearing on the screen, and I can see puffs of smoke from the wheel spin of the drivers on the Knockhill grid for round 6 here at the BSR MX5 Championship. That signifies that Glenn Humberstone got a damn good start, that's for sure. Leon Jenkins trying to go around the outside of Luke Pullen. Luke Pullen actually, the inside, of Leon Jenkins, I should say. And there's a big crash in the background. One of the Year 1 TV Pro-Am drivers was involved in that. Glenn Humberstone's falling down. Fiona Siddons, Mark Oliver. A bit of a melee, I would say. A bit of a mess, to be honest. Liam Silkstone and Chris Dixon are the two drivers that you actually saw struggling to get going again. Lee Holmes, second place in race 2. It's not been good for him so far either. And is there a Adam Delmont? I'm hearing my ear. Adam Delmont's down to 20th place. Well, there he is on your screen, actually, the number 77. Adam Delmont. That is, again, a bit like Jason Cooper in race number 2. Big news for championship. Where is Andy McEwen? He's up to 7th. This could be a big swing in points to the championship, and how these guys are going to come out of this one tonight. That is, Tyler, a bit of drama here so far.
What's the biggest news for anyone is Leon Jenkins is leading the race, and there's still more action going on as Tom Griffiths has overtaken the leader, and it is just action-packed everywhere. Oh, big spin. That is Michael Seal. Oh, Mike Pullen, has spun around, and there's so many others in sympathy doing the exact same thing. There you go. That is something I've been talking about in pre-race, that chicane will definitely bite.
Yeah, you're not wrong, that's for sure. It's one of those corners you don't really want to be going too wide on, and it's one of those corners you really, if anything, you want to be very cautious of going into it. You don't want to be on someone's back bumper. It's a bit of a high-risk, high-reward situation if you do. McEwen with the fastest lap. He's going side by side with Sam Smith, who I believe finished 4th in race number 1. McEwen gives him a lovely, well, in McEwen's words, a hip and shoulder, and McEwen gets it back. Massive. That's not a hip and shoulder. That's a full-on T-bone, isn't it? McEwen with a fantastic opportunity. Well, I mean, don't want to... obviously, as commentators, we don't really want to place blame. Normally, I am all for placing blame as a commentator, especially on esports. But that was big leap off the air there. I mean, the problem is there, Tyler. McEwen gave him that one, and I don't think Sam Smith meant to do this. You can see his feet are on the brakes the entirety. He was on the grass. He had nowhere to go. He had no way of stopping. You see it. The brake lights come on, and they stay on. But the problem is, you're on the grass. You're skidding. If anything, you're speeding up. And it just so happens that McEwen, who was the one who put him off, ironically, was the one who ended up getting speared in.
I don't really want to call it karma, but that was not a great sight for either of the drivers to have such an accident. But McEwen is still going. He's in 13th, which is not bad to Delmont, who's in the pits right now, as we see. Very unfortunate for Delmont. He'll not get any points this evening for race 3.
Yeah, so really, even if McEwen's car is crabbing slightly, he really just needs to stay out there, and at least he'll claw some points back, even if it's not as many as he was probably hoping for. But still in the top 15 at the moment. We'll keep an eye out on him. McNally's behind him, and if he has got damage on the car, McNally probably won't be hanging around, put it that way. Tom Griffiths leading the race, though. Now, this is a driver we haven't spoken about too much so far this evening. As my screen just freezed a little bit there, I thought there was going to be a big problem. But the driver we haven't spoken too much about so far today, Tyler. But third place in the championship, dropped off a little bit from the championship leader. Again, big opportunity to right all the wrongs from race 1 and 2.
Absolutely. This is what a dream scenario would be for a race like him. And it is a dream scenario for Leon Jenkins, who is in 2nd. And we see the fan club is here in the chat, just cheering him on. My goodness, is an incredible run for him.
Yeah, everybody loving Leon Jenkins doing well tonight, as they always do. Why wouldn't they? We always have quite a lot of support in the chat for a number of our drivers, Leon being one of them. Michael Seal, again, just another good opportunity. Look at the gap that he's got to Lars Fischer. Now, remember, ladies and gentlemen, it was a 17 reverse grid. Lars Fischer won race 2. Leon Jenkins goes wide, doesn't spin into Michael Seal, who I'm sure was probably Bit of heart-in-mouth moment. I'll go back to Lars Fischer, though, as Seal takes second, Jenkins slots a third.
Oh,
It was it was a 17th place reverse grid. That means Lars Fischer ended up in 17th on the start and is up to 4th. Could end up into the podium. Really good. Who was that we were just looking at? Was it Chris Dixon, potentially, and looking the wrong way out of the chicane? I mean, if you're doing the reverse, which they do at Knockhill, they do go counterclockwise as well as clockwise, then that would be the correct way of looking at it, but not in the gravel.
Unfortunate. But definitely some interesting battles going around here as everybody's trying to settle down and try and find where they are right now. As you see, Jason Cooper is ahead of Luke Cooper. So you definitely can see some inter-battle between brothers right here. This is some great action.
Not only into battles between brothers, but potentially, in about a lap or two's time, a battle between teammates as well, as the two 5-star drivers with a win apiece starting to close up on each other. I'm just trying to have a look. Where is Lars Fischer in the championship? He must have climbed a fair few places so far tonight. Yeah, 13th place at the moment. Not too far away from Douglas Stewart or Sam Smith or Jamie Gulliford, actually. So he could crack into the top 10 if he plays his cards right here. Considering he only turned up about 3 rounds in, it's a good start by Lars Fischer. And if it was here for the start, he could have been a real force in this championship. And I'm sure if he sticks around, he will be. I mean, considering the likes of Jason Cooper, I think, has missed 2 rounds, or at least 1 round anyway. People will still drop out with the summer holidays coming up. A lot of people will be taking their kids abroad, or just going on holiday themselves, or not able to make every single week. You really do need to be in it to win it here at the BSR. There are drop rounds, but we don't tend to look at them until the final race, the final couple of races of season. So if you're wondering why we haven't given you massive updates on any of them, that's why. It's because it's far too complicated to be getting into at this stage of the season. Andy McEwen is actually fighting with Luke Pullen now, 14th and 15th place. So this is for the race lead, though. Apologies, I'm so used to seeing McEwen's car in the Year 1 TV that actually I got that mixed up. But Tom Griffiths goes in, is trying to hold on to the race lead. But Michael Seal, once getting past Leon Jenkins, Michael, there's been no stopping him. And Jenkins goes for a spin at the back end of our camera shot there. And unfortunately, we just get a nice shot of his back end as well in our camera. So, yeah, real shame. The Leon Jenkins fan club will not be too pleased about that.
If we can just get ahead of Colin Sampson, he'll be fine, and he'll definitely still take the class win. But this is exactly what I've been fearing all race, grabbing some air and just trying to control a car out of its personal range. It's just going to be that sort of mistake.
Yeah, difficult over Duffer's Dip, really, isn't it? Because you do end up, like a lot of these corners, you end up going airborne. You're almost waiting for the car to slide a touch. So it looks like it's all under control, but then all of a sudden you try and turn the other way very quickly down the hill, and the grip comes to you, the elevation changes, and all of a sudden you find yourself getting spat out into a tyre wall. And yeah, very difficult. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people absolutely love Knockhill. It is basically a roller coaster. But it's also one of the reasons why it's quite hard, and I suppose one of the reasons why spectators love it so much, because you do see mistakes like that. Right, Tom Griffiths now in the slipstream, but I would note, more pressingly, Tyler, drivers behind them. Cooper and Fischer, on that previous lap, Jason Cooper, who's gotten past Lars Fischer, was 2 seconds, or a second and a half, quicker than Tom Griffiths in second place. There is a threat for the race lead, and it's from the 5-star duo. Yeah,
5 minutes left in the race, and it is getting really close, as you say, as the 5 stars are just gaining and gaining over this battle between first and second, between Michael Seal and Tom Griffiths. And I'm quite sure they're not aware that they're coming on, but there they are in the background. Oh, Jason Cooper is getting absolutely closer to the pack of Tom Griffiths.
You can see him peeking his nose round there. Oh, both of them disappear. No, that's because we changed camera angle. My goodness, that scared me. All of a sudden, thought everything was going wrong again. It looks like Griffiths is ignoring the plea to go forward, and all of a sudden has decided that to maintain second place, he has to start defending and driving slightly in his mirrors. As they hit the brakes, who's going to be the last of the late breakers? They're going to brake at the same time, but look at how much Jason Cooper just, well, doesn't bother braking anywhere near as hard, basically. He didn't come off any earlier, but he just, instead of 100% braking, he maybe 70%. And that carried enough momentum. But the fact that he was holding onto the brakes meant there was enough inertia for the car to be able to turn and take that outside line. It just shows why he's a champion. It just shows why he's a top iRacing driver. Jason Cooper gets into second place. With 4 minutes to go, Michael Seal has got a bit of a task on his hand now to hold on to this race victory.
There's a lot of back markers in the way of Michael Seal, so that will help Jason Cooper catch up that much more quickly. As you can see, it is taking so much time, and we'll get that draft off the back, so the slipstream is super powerful with these masses. We saw in Monza how much overtaking happens around that track, but this is really crucial for Jason to get around Seal, to get away, so he can have an opportunity to just cruise home.
Amazing watching Cooper's car and the confidence and the car control that he's got, really. You can see his car will slide, but the ability to be able to... It must be... It's a lot to do with the driver, obviously, but there must be a little bit of setup in there as well. How tight he is, how controlled the car is as well. The only way I can describe it in terms of the body language of the car is, again, how tight and planted it is. It's so impressive, especially going through Duffer's Dip. I mean, we saw Leon Jenkins end up coming a bit of a cropper earlier on, because his back end was too loose, basically, too floaty out the back end. But as soon as Cooper turns the car, even if it's sliding, the back end just grips out of nowhere. It's a lot to do with car control, probably about 80% of to do with car control, but also how you set the car as well. You can see it there. He's just able to hold on and go through that apex on the left-hand side. That's where you can really see the difference in the setup and the difference in the sort of driving ability. Because Tyler, I mean, you're a sim racer yourself. You'll know more than me, probably, that driving these MX-5s, there's a lot to do with how you use the steering wheel, but a lot of it is how you actually use the pedals, isn't it? And how much throttle to put on to grip the rear end. I'll go on to that point in a minute, because we have to cover the fact that there may be a change for the race lead. Before laps go, Jason Cooper up the inside into Taylor's, and it's going to be a fairly standard move there for Cooper. He did everything absolutely to perfection. Michael Seal couldn't get the run off the track, run off the corner, and although they'll be pretty much side by side going into Duffer's Dip, Jason Cooper will have his car length ahead, and he'll have the inside line.
Textbook overtaking by Jason Cooper. That is how you want to do for a race lead like that. And I think we should be classifying these Mazdas here tonight as airplanes as they go through these chicanes and sausage curbs. Look how much air they get. I'm just mesmerized on how much time they spend in the air more they're on the ground. As you see, Tom Griffiths goes up the inside, a corner that is probably not the most common place, but as you see, Michael Seal's not giving up for a second, as he'll get the inside line for the next corner. But he decided against that, and he'll have Fisher right behind him, getting the best momentum for the next first corner, and it's just that here. It's
going to be. There's a little bit of an opportunity there for Michael Seal, but to be honest, Tom Griffiths did that really well. Now there is an ability in that penultimate corner to get up the inside, but the reason why it's a bit more of a risk is not because it's a dangerous corner or anything like that. Well, it is quite narrow, but it's more actually the fact you'll ruin your run going into the final corner, and Michael Seal almost took advantage of it. Craig Shull leading the Pro-Am category ahead of, Sam Smith on the road. The number 27 just behind Craig Shull is a pro driver. It's actually got to look all the way down to Liam Silkstone in 13th to find the next Pro-Am. Leon Jenkins, even though having that spin earlier on, is leading the Am class still. And as I said, Adam Fox not being here is a great opportunity for Leon Jenkins, who, like Lars Fischer, hasn't been attending the first quarter of the season, I would say. So really good driving by Leon Jenkins. And I'm just trying to have a quick look to see where, 20th place in the championship overall. Third in the AM class championship. Fiona Siddons is maybe 100 points ahead of Leon Jenkins, who's closing the gap ever closer in this particular evening. Right, we're in the final lap of the race, Tyler. Jason Cooper's in the lead of it. I don't really see any threat from Tom Griffiths. A good drive by him.
Oh, don't count him out just yet. He'll definitely be pressuring Cooper for this final run until the last corner. As you see some back markers and it might not be the difference, but yes, Jason Cooper will still hold on, like you say, and will lead to the finish. Jason Cooper wins the race free ahead of Tom Griffiths and Michael Seal. It is a perfect run for him and 5 stars.
It is indeed, yeah, good point actually. 5-star again with 3 victories out of 3 now shared between them, of course. Fisher couldn't quite get onto the podium. He ended up in 4th place. Craig Schill coming across the line will take the Pro-Am victory. He did lose out to Sam Smith 7th overall, but take the Pro-Am victory. And then Leon Jenkins taking the AM class victory and rounding out your top 10. 11th place driver, just noticed McEwen. Andy McEwen ended up in 11th place. So really not the end of the world for him, but not quite what he was intending, I'm sure. Been involved in a little bit of contact so far tonight, McEwen. I have to say, in that particular one, it looked like it maybe sort of, as you said, don't want to say calmer, but almost inevitable a little bit, as the driver ended up spearing off the road. Right, it's getting quite hot in here in this particular for this particular evening. Knockhill Racing providing yet again the reason why we love sim action.
Absolutely. As we see, the wheel is presenting itself for the final time this evening, and we'll get it, and we will see what number it is. What do you want? What do you want there, Jason?
I mean, we haven't seen a full reverse grid yet. We saw a couple of.
Oh! Is it? What is it? I can't. Oh.
That's definitely 13, I think. Only by a couple of pixels, but it's 13, I think. Yeah, I thought I was going to script that then. I was like, that just sounded too perfect, didn't it? So 13, very similar to race 1, actually, in the end, wasn't it? Because, of course, that was only 12.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the timing screen and seeing who's there. I think it's Liam Silkson. Is that right? You seen that?
Yeah, no, I've seen that. It's, somebody's been a very lucky man tonight so far, or a very lucky driver, I should say, tonight for those reverse grids. And another driver I can see actually will go through it, but starting in 3rd place on the track will be a very, very happy man indeed, trying to maybe resurrect some points that maybe he feels like he lost in that particular race. We'll give you the full order in a couple of minutes' time. Tyler, going into the final race of the evening, it's been good so far. I thought it was going to be really chaotic, and we have got one left. But overall, the average has been pretty decent.
Yeah, I think this is the standard that we expect from BSR. Some great action, some drama here and there. I definitely expect that from BSR. These drivers definitely have great experience in these Mazdas. You can see the championship order right there.
Yeah, podium spots then, topped by Jason Cooper. Yet again, how many times have we said that over the course of BSR? Tom Griffiths ended up in 2nd. Again, good drive by him, a driver we haven't really seen that much so far tonight of. And then Michael Seal ended up in 3rd. Top 3 on your screen, but followed by the rest of the field as well. Remember, the number 13 is what we're looking for. Lars Fisher in 4th, Luke Cooper in 5th, James Neve in 6th, Sam Smith in 7th. Craig Schill won the Pro-Am class. He was in 8th. McNally in 9th, and Leon Jenkins won the AM class in the top 10 overall, 10th place. Then you see Andy McEwen in 11th, Kip Stevens in 12th, and on pole position will be, for the 2nd time tonight, Liam Silkstone, a driver who, well, as I said, just on pole for the 2nd time this evening, and the driver who I was saying probably will be quite grateful is Andy McEwen, because obviously championship rivals are still nowhere to be seen. Colin Sampson in 14th, Luke Pullen in 15th, Mark Oliver in 16th, with Nick Clibbins in 17th, Douglas Stewart 18th, Lee Holmes in 19th, and Glenn Humberstone rounding out your top 20. And then finally, Adam Delmont, 9 laps down. That's the reason why Andy McEwen will probably be quite pleased that he'll be starting in 21st place. Fiona Siddons, 10 laps down. Chris Dixon, 12 laps down. Greg McDonald, 17 laps down. And the 5, 9, 8 of... So, that's a repeating number of Chris Dixon. So, a good drive by everyone there. Race 4, he set up to be rather exciting, I would say. You can catch it in a couple of minutes' time here on Year 1 TV. We're going to be back after this short break. And we're back for race number 4, the final race this evening. But before we get into anything, I'm not muted. There we go. Before we get into anything there, Tyler, first of all, we have an interview, and the driver joining us is far too quick to go into anything 3 wide into Duffer's Dip. It's Andy McEwen. How are you doing, Andy?
Yeah, it's all right, isn't it? It's been an eventful night tonight, that's for sure.
It has indeed, yeah. So, but we'll try and focus on the slightly more positive things. You finished race 3, and some of your direct championship rivals didn't. Were you aware that Adam Delmont was in the pits when you ended up coming out of the wall, basically?
So someone, we've got about 16 year 1 cars out there, so someone in our Discord had seen him go off. So yeah, I was aware that he was off, didn't really know where Jason was. But yeah, just... I guess every cloud has a silver lining, as they say. You know, it wasn't a great race for me. Got torpedoed by Sam Smith, for which he's already apologised, I should say. So he's, you know, there's no hard feelings there. But it was just one of those things. It's been one of those nights where if something's gone wrong, I've always been in the vicinity. So yeah, if I can claw some points back even through all that, that's not too bad.
I was going to say, realistically, what was the car like when you were actually driving it after that? Because we feared that you might have to retire. We feared that you might end up having to go into the pits or anything like that. But obviously, you managed to carry on. Was it crabbing at all? Was there any kind of aero damage?
No, actually, it felt all right, to be honest. Didn't really feel that... I hadn't even thought of that, actually. I was that mad that I'd been spun. I don't think it even occurred to me that the car might be damaged. So I went off into the chicane straight after, completely flat out, and it stuck. So... yeah, I guess it was all right. They obviously build the back of these MX5 strong. It's more front damage you have to watch for, really. That really can slow you down. I know my teammate Luke Pullen got some front end damage in another incident that I was a part of with Luke Cooper, and that ruined his race. So yeah, the back you can kind of live with, really.
And I mentioned it in your intro there. 3 wide through Duffer's Dip. We're going to focus on the one that didn't end horribly, for some of the drivers anyway. That first race, top 5. Was brilliant racing, wasn't it? I mean, that's sort of what you really want to come and race sim racing for.
Yeah, and we knew it'd be like that because we had myself and Jason and Adam all at the front. We were all quite close in the points, certainly once the drop scores are taken into account. So it was always going to be a bit of a grudge match, that one. And, you know, I spent most of that race just letting them go at it because they've had that many run-ins this season. I thought that one of them was bound to end up in the gravel, and they kept it annoyingly clean, actually. So in the end, I decided to get stuck in and... yeah, didn't actually manage to advance my position, but it was good fun. And you know when you're racing those two that it's going to be hard but fair. Yeah,
I was going to say, it's not just those two. You had Michael Seal behind you as well, obviously a good teammate of yours, very quick as well. So all in all, you came in before we came live and you sounded a little bit disappointed with your evening. But actually, you've closed the gap. You've halved the gap from coming into this evening before we take off drop downs, because we're ignoring drop downs. It's far too complicated. But, you know, overall, with a 3rd place start of race number 4, there's always an opportunity.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Start near the front, got some more teammates around me. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes, I guess.
Brilliant. Well, I've just been told that you got 30 seconds and I want you to be able to get into position. So thank you very much, Andy, for having a chat to us.
Yeah, no worries. Enjoy the last race, guys.
Will do. Right, Tyler. I didn't realise how long we've been gabbing for then. Apologies, I haven't even brought you back in. Race number 4, what are you expecting here? Liam Silkstone's back on pole position, remember?
Yeah, time does fly when you're having fun, and I think Liam's son has been manipulating the wheel of fortune, because this is the 2nd time this evening though that he's on pole for the reverse grid. So I think he's excited that he gets another opportunity to for a redemption for a better position result.
I think he did take the Pro-Am victory, which really, I suppose, is all he's looking for, isn't it, really? I mean, you obviously want to try and fight as high as you can, but at the end of the day, you're in your classes for a reason, and you got to be able to be happy when you win those classes. So, which I'm sure he probably was, and he'll probably be going for exactly the same mission in this race number 4. Right! The weather has turned Scottish, in the words of our producer, Graham Sessford. It's got a little bit dark, it's got a little bit, I would say, wet, but of course iRacing doesn't have wet. So we'll go through the grid. Liam Silkstone on pole position with Kip Stevens in 2nd place. Andy McEwen, who we just had a chat to, starts in 3rd. 4th is Leon Jenkins. 5th, Adam McNally. Craig Shell in 6th. Sam Smith in 7th. 8th is James Neve. Luke Cooper in 9th. Lars Fisher in the top 10. I'll try and get the top 15 done Michael Seal 11th, 12th Tom Griffith, Jason Cooper in 13th, Colin Sampson 14th, and 15th is Luke Hullen. Last couple of seconds. 16th Mark Oliver, Nick Clibb in 17th, 18th Douglas Stewart, 19th Lee Holmes, 20th Glenn Humberstone. And you can see the rest on your left-hand side of your screen. 24 cars in total. Lights are about to come on, and of course they will go out. Lights on the cars are on as well, because it's a lot darker here at the virtual Knockhill than it was previously. Now, all the starts have been fairly clean so far as they go in towards turn 1 in the first 3 races. Is this going to be any different? Well, McEwen is already up into second place. He wasn't messing around there, was he? He's up ahead of Kip Stevens and hunting down Liam Silkstone in the background. There's a little bit of door bumping, but that is it. Everything else is as clean as you'd like to see. Apparently, the door bumping was Adam Delmont actually involved. He's all the way down, still in 19th. No progress been made by him as it stands. As I said, Silkstone leads, McEwen in second. There's a nice little bit of, well, seesawing, and that's not nice to see. Massive crash right on the racing line. And that's going to involve a lot of cars. Luke Cooper, Fiona Siddons, Chris Dixon, Lee Holmes, Mark Oliver, and Colin Sampson, the drivers that have tumbled down the order. None of our massive, none of our sort of big championship contenders. There's still some big scalps being claimed as Adam McNally moves his way up into 3rd place. Adam Delmont there, you can see on your screen, is up into 13th with Craig Schill dropping down the order in, well, just actually stumbling. I think he's in the pit lane as it stands. But Liam Silkstone leads, McEwen in 2nd.
Oh, that was huge crash at a blind corner. And this is a bit of foggy weather that we hear in Evan Scullin. As you can see, little assistant just riding the grass. It's not rallycross here, but there is a rallycross course over on the other side of the fence. But that just lets McEwen by, as you see Adam McNally just moving on past, trying to find a way. But, some good braking around and great defending by Silkson, as McNally will have the speed and exit out of the corner. And that is just some unfortunate news for Silkson, but he still has the class lead, and he'll try and make some great positions. Ooh, that is really close. As you see, one of the Coopers, that is Jason Cooper, getting the fastest lap after the opening procedure. Oh, goodness, it is lots of movement around the grid.
Silkstone giving us one or two sort of eyebrow-raising moments, shall we say, and some ambitious looks up the inside as he launches himself over the curbs. Leon Jenkins is in 4th as well, so Liam Silkstone leading the Pro-Am, Leon Jenkins leading the Am, and a long way leading it from Fiona Siddons all the way down in 18th position overall. Nice and wide there by Silkstone. He's going to try and get a nice squaring of the corner. We'll get a really good exit. Not going to be enough to wait. Oh, there's a pile-up on the final corner. And Michael Seal is one of those drivers. And Jason Cooper's the other one. Well, Andy McEwen thought he was having a bad night. Jason Cooper is having a much worse one, I would say. He's all the way down in 16th. Now, his car will probably be fine. He'll be able to keep that going. But Michael Seal causing a little bit of a hold up there. Now, no idea how they ended up in that position. It looked like Seal maybe might have got tapped from the rear end, and in fact, Jason Cooper actually let him back through. So maybe Cooper sort of admitted fault in that one. We're going to see it here. Oh, yeah, Cooper's actually behind the 595, and that's a big lunge up the inside. Yeah, no, that was completely on Jason Cooper, and he knows that, which is why he didn't just reverse and drive off. It's why he also let Seal back through. I mean, he's got Seal straight back because Michael ended up outbraking himself into turn 1. But yeah, that's at least good sportsmanship to try and give that move back. But Jason Cooper, there's a driver facing the wrong way. We just drove past there. Not entirely sure who's not moving. Maybe Mark Oliver? Maybe Chris Dixon. I think Chris Dixon is one of the Year 1 Am drivers. 598, yeah, there it is. Chris Dixon. Facing the wrong way with half a car hanging off his front end.
Definitely don't like to see some damage on these Mazdas. You want to keep it nice and clean. You can see some, all on his own. Just spinning out and hitting the wall. Unfortunate for him. His night will be quite a long one.
Yeah, it looked like it was just, it was already going before he even got through the corner. It was definitely crabbing or something was wrong with that car, wasn't it? Anyway, Craig McDonald here in 17th place. Bit of no man's land for him, Glenn Humberstone. So, there we go. We've got Adam McNally in behind Andy McEwen as Liam Silkstone's dropped down to 3rd place now. McNally has gotten through and is setting some absolutely blistering lap times. We've seen already so far this evening that this slipstream and the momentum that you can carry by following the driver in front is so powerful around here at Knockhill. And then McNally is taking advantage of that for the time being. This is going to heat up with less than 10 minutes to go now. Liam Silkstone, Leon Jenkins, still 3rd and 4th. Then you got Smith and James Neve, Fisher, Delmont, Pullen, and Clibbins. And your top 10. So Delmont up into 8th is still a pretty good finishing position for him, even if he finished there. But you know he's going to be trying to push forward ahead of the likes of Lars Fisher and Sam Smith. So a top 5 is well on the cards here as Sam Smith gets past Leon Jenkins.
This is sort of reminding me a bit of a pirate's life. With all this weather being very foggy, it's very hard to see out more than a few distance. As you can see, it's not difficult to be right up close, but after some point, your brain will just go in a bit of a tunnel vision. Wow, that's really close to the back of Andy McEwen. And McNally is definitely pushing hard to get past, but it sees a lot of consequences when you push too hard, and that gap will grow.
Yeah, no, it's a little bit of a dodgy one there by almost, anyway, by McNally. So far for off tracks, Andy McEwen has got 4, Liam Silkstone has got 4, but Adam McNally doesn't have any. So realistically, he's been very clean for the time being. But you just want to make sure that those little scare tactics that he's trying to employ on the race leader don't turn into anything more malicious, shall we say. You don't want him ending up taking each other off, because they have both got an opportunity to score some really good points. And McNally needs that because, of course, if we remember, he ended up not finishing one of the races because of his Oculus Rift, I believe, breaking. So McNally just needs to score some solid points here to have any chance. I mean, he's 8th in the championship at the moment, probably dropping away from the likes of James Neve and Michael Seal just because he had that DNF. He doesn't want to have a penalty or another DNF here today.
I definitely believe that McNally will be very cautious in how he approaches overtaking McEwen. Definitely doesn't want to ruin a race like this where he has many points on the table in front of him, but he could get that just much more if he overtakes McEwen. As you can see, Delmont is slowly catching up onto the train that you see in front of you, and it is just how much you take through these last few races of the season as we're past the halfway point. So it is definitely those scavenging the points, getting the best finishes, and if something goes wrong, then you best hope that you at least get a high enough ahead of your rivals.
This is Douglas Stewart, I believe. Just trying to find. He's in 14th place, just been overtaken by the charging Jason Cooper, the recovering Jason Cooper, I should say, with Leon Jenkins, who's dropped down into 12th place. Douglas Stewart, who's currently 3rd in the terms of the AM class, and I'm just having a look. Where is he in terms? He's 34th place at the moment for the championship order. He is classified as a pro driver as well. I was trying to on the. Oh, I'm looking at Wayne Douglas. Apologies there. Yeah, he's all the way. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Douglas Stewart. Sorry, not Wayne Douglas. You can understand why I got a little bit confused. Wayne Douglas is in 12th. Sorry, Douglas Stewart is in 12th place on the title race. Apologies about that.
There you go.
Been a long night, but look at this. Right in front of him, Leon Jenkins and Jason Cooper going side by side through Duffer's Dip. Jason Cooper yet again going around the outside, proving that he can do it all against anybody, and he gets himself nicely up into 12th.
That's definitely the confidence of a champion right there from Jason Cooper. As you can see, getting all the momentum in the world that he can be allowed before he gets an X. And it is just a charge on. He goes through, and he has his brother, Luke Cooper, right in front of him, so he'll definitely catch up as much as he can for the rest of the race, as there's 5 minutes, close to 5 minutes left, and well, they're going to be absolutely stoked for at least some good finish tonight.
Yep, you're absolutely right. With 5 minutes to go, that'll be about 6 laps, I believe, and McEwen has managed to open up a bit of gap to the likes of McNally. Silkstone still performing pretty strong in 3rd place. I wouldn't say no man's land, because Sam Smith, who remember performed very well in race number 1, I think ended up coming home with a 4th or 5th position. Can't remember which way round Michael Seal and him finished off, but it's a really good drive by him. He's been right towards the front for a lot of these races here in Knockhill. Clearly been practicing quite strong. Hopefully, we'll see good momentum from him moving forward as well. Because again, Sam Smith, he's just in the top 10 of the championship, but only about 50 points behind Kip Stevens, who is pretty much nowhere to be found in terms of the overall standings at the moment. This particular race, I actually can't see him at all. He's all the way down to 20th and in the pits. That's why I can't really see him. The gap opened up to about half a second. It was 7/10, so maybe McEwen's not going to have it all his own way here, Tyler.
It's minimizing mistakes. I think I just saw one when he was going for chicane, and that was the opportunity for McNally that he could need. And that draft that he's just closing into more and more, and the pressure, the mental game of chess they have right here, and the battle that's going to be coming on with 4 minutes left, it is just that much more crucial that you keep things nice and calm throughout the rest of the race, or else stuff will be absolutely mad for all of these drivers in the back.
Your favourite word for patience is what they need, isn't it? Patience, Tyler.
Patience.
You need to make sure that you're hitting your apexes and your braking zones and not piling not asking the tyre to do too much, because they're already being tortured here at Knockhill. Make no mistake, there's a reason why in the real life a lot of the higher powered series don't end up going to Knockhill, and it's the same as reason, or similar reason to sort of like Brookston as well, where the tyres do just get tortured and they can't really handle it, especially that left-hand tyre going through Duffer's Dip, coming out of the final corner, going through the chicane, skidding like that, can be a little bit dodgy. And they do just degrade really quickly. Also that, and the cars are quite big. Whereas, for me, MX-5s are the perfect size of car for this particular track. I mean, we've seen some great overtakes tonight and great side-by-side action here.
Yeah, absolutely. This is some great evening that we have. And the weather has definitely changed to something a little more gray, but still exciting as you see. Wow. I'm still shocked that they can drive over these sausage curbs and into the air and still handle it. You see Tom Griffiths in the background from Nick Clibbins, and that is just how much, whoa, into the gravel Nick Clibbins goes and just hangs on. My goodness, how much they are pushing each other along.
Yeah, that's they're certainly throwing everything at it, aren't they, in an attempt to try and hold off each other, especially Nick Clibbins, I would say. And Tom Griffiths with one podium. Oh, we'll go back to Tom Griffiths in a couple of seconds, because that's Sam Smith on Liam Silkstone, our pole sitter. Liam really squeezing him to the inside. And I think Liam Silkstone's held on to that position for the time being, as Jason Cooper, Lars Fischer keeps hold of. Lars Fischer keeps ahead of Adam Delmont for the time being. Silkstone is held ahead of Sam Smith as well. So it's all getting a little bit heated with 3 laps to go, and understandably so. McEwen has got a 6th gap to McNally. All he needs to do is keep hitting the lines that he's been hitting for the majority of this race, and he should, in theory, be fine. Silkstone has a lot of pressure from Smith in behind, and so does Fischer from Delmont, and then James Neve as well. Tom Griffiths, as we just mentioned him earlier on, he's in the top 10 for the time being. He wants to get ahead of a particular Nick Libbins, score some good points, because out of the top 3 in the championship, or top 3 in the championship, he's the driver that's been lost out most of all, I would say, so far this evening. Now, around the outside is the number 20 of 7 of Sam Smith. He's seen Jason Cooper do it. He thinks he'll have a bit of that as well, and he takes the podium place away from a Pro-Am driver of Liam Silkstone.
That's some great moves around here. Seeing the opportunity to pass around where you might not think would be appropriate time to do so, but he just does it so well. It's just some classic BSR racing here. It's just some fantastic racing. I just want to point out how far Adam Delmont has been moving up this grid. When we only have 2 laps to go, he was 21st, and now he's 6th. Some incredible driving by Delmont. It is some class-winning, pure pace that he has right here.
Yeah, there's a reason why he is the championship leader without the drop points being taken into account, of course. As Andy said, I think there is a change of position when they do add the drop rounds. But with the likes of Lars Fischer ahead of Delmont, he doesn't look like he's keen to let go of that top 5 position yet, is Lars Fischer. Now, it's unlikely, that there's going to be a 5-star full house of victories here today. They tried their best. They had Jason Cooper win race 1 and 3. They had Lars Fischer win race 2. But it's going to be, the likelihood is, McEwen, McNally, or something goes really wrong, Smith taking this victory. But as they come out the final corner, Andy McEwen will take the checkered flag. He'll take that top step of the podium. He's had already won tonight in terms of he had 3rd in the first race. But in the 4th race, he takes the top step. McNally in 2nd. Sam Smith, Liam Silkstone comes into the pit. No idea why. And ends up not taking the checkered flag. I don't know if he'll keep that 4th place or not because he's still there in terms of the standings. Bit of a strange one. Sam Smith was 3rd. Lars Fischer 5th. Adam Delmont in 6th. James Neve in 7th. Luke Pullen in 8th. Clibbins in 9th. And Tom Griffiths rounds out the top 10. Leon Jenkins crosses the line and takes an AM class victory. He is, 14th overall. Liam Silkstone, at the moment, looks like took the Pro-Am victory. I don't really know the rules if someone finishes the race in the pits. Bit of a strange one, but we'll try and ring you down the final finishing order when everything gets computed and when everybody, obviously, finishes. Tyler, it's been, we'll sort of start rounding out the evening in terms of compressing, and basically decompressing, I should say, actually, how it's gone. But it's been very enjoyable, hasn't it? Back to the UK and up to Scotland this time.
It's definitely been a great evening for everybody, and some maybe not for others, for their own reasons. And I just think for this broadcast, it has been a great honor for just watching these guys go around. It's been some chaotic, some drama, but action-packed BSR.
And how is it from your personal perspective to be on the comms for the last 2 rounds as well? I mean, in theory, it should be. Actually, hold on, is it? Yes, no. In theory, I don't think I'm here next week. So actually, you might. I'm getting mixed up with the dates, so you might actually be back. I thought I had another week before I go on holiday, but I might be in Cornwall. Are you enjoying your commentary experience?
I'm enjoying it so much. It's been very fun to have the opportunity to do this. So I'm very thankful for everyone who's involved for letting me doing this. But yeah, it's been great.
Well, I've just realised in my head that panic over. I am here next week. It's the week after that I am not here. A bit confusing when you go on holiday from Wednesday to Wednesday rather than just going Saturday to Saturday. But anyway, enough about my personal life. It's been a pleasure having you around here as well, Tyler. We'll be just waiting to bring you the final race results for race 4 of the evening, of course. Oh, there we go. I shouldn't doubt, should I? As soon as I say it. Andy McEwen on the top step. Adam McNally in 2nd with Sam Smith taking home 3rd. Confirmation of the top 3 plus the rest of the field. Liam Silkstone taking the Pro-Am victory in 4th. Lars Fischer in 5th. Adam Delmont in 6th. James Neve in 7th. Luke Pullen in 8th. Nick Clibbins in 9th. Tom Griffiths in 10th. Jason Cooper ended up in 11th with Luke Cooper in 12th. Michael Seal in 13th. Leon Jenkins won the AM class in 14th. Craig McDonald in 15th. 16th, Douglas Stewart. 17th, Craig Schill. Fiona Siddons in 18th. 19th, Kip Stevens. Glenn Humberstone in the top 20. Chris Dixon, 15 laps down. Mark Oliver, 16 laps down. Lee Holmes, 16 laps down. And Colin Sampson, 17 laps down. And there is your 24 drivers. Not that many dropouts that we like. That's what we like to see, sorry. We started the evening with 25. We ended up with 24. Now, I'm just going to, over the top of everything, I'm going to ask Graham Sesford, if we've got anybody for an interview. Apparently, he has asked a driver. He's asked Adam Delmont to come in for a chat. We'll give him 2 minutes, shall we say, Tyler Manning, for him to have a jump in. So, as I mentioned, yeah, we will do the championship. Sorry, Graham is talking in my ears. So there we go, Tyler. Why don't you take us through the championship, and maybe we'll bring up the calendar before we have a chat to Adam Delmont.
So Adam Delmont is still leading, but by barely a few points to Enemy McEwen. So he still leads ahead for the next round, but by only a few, probably just 20 points. My math is not great this year round. 25 points. Thank you very much, Graham Sesford, for helping me out. Tom Griffiths is not far behind, but he has Jason Cooper for company for 4th. And Nick Clibbins is just there about to give it a freeway fight for 3rd. And we see James Neve, Michael Seal very close as well. Adam McNally up there as well. And James Smith and Kip Stevens to be our top 10.
They are indeed, with Lars Fisher in 11th, Douglas Stewart in 12th, Jamie Gulliford in 13th, Luke Cooper, Craig McDonald round out your top 15, Leon Jenkins, Fiona Siddons, Mark Oliver, Lee Holmes and Craig Schill round out your 20. With Adam Fox, Paul Cook, Liam Silkstone, Luke Cullen, Glenn Humberstone, Chris Dixon, Julian Schroer, Thor Tuller, Colin Sansom and Chris Warner are your 21st to 30th positions. And then finally, 31st, Liam Stimpson, Alistair Hatcher in 32nd, Mark Van Dalen in 33rd, Wayne Douglas in 34th, Simon Robson in 35th, and Lewis Benny in 36th. And I'm not sure if we've got anybody for an interview yet, so we'll just quickly go through the calendar, what's left coming up, because of course, mentioned it a few times, we are already halfway through the season, and this was round 6 out of the 10. There we go. So we're off to Alton Park, a very similar circuit to Knockhill, in my opinion. We did the island layout, so I think we've already been there. No, we haven't been there already, actually. Alton Park only getting the 1 layout in this particular championship. Donington Park after that for the Grand Prix. That's the GTs, if anybody has ever watched the GTs or the touring cars around there. This is the GT loop. It's also the loop that the old F1 cars used as well, back when F1 was there. Silverstone for round 9. That's the national loop. We've already done the international layout. We're now doing the national one, which again is one of the shorter ones. We don't do the full GP circuit. And then Brands Hatch, there we are doing the GP circuit, is where we end this particular championship for the BSR MX5. Slightly shorter, I believe. Normally they go for 12 weeks, but we're going for a 10-week calendar. So yeah, not nice and close. It keeps the championship probably interesting for a little bit longer as well, in terms of the fact that nobody really breaks away over those final 2 rounds. Right, Graham, have we got an interview or not? We do not. So it's about that time that we end the broadcast. Tyler, thank you very much for jumping in and being my fantastic co-commentator for the evening. Have you enjoyed it?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, thank you. It's been a great evening. I hope we get some more action with the TCR on Thursday, and we are still going to be here for Knockhill, so it's going to be some great action to see some touring cars go around here. It's going to be a bit of a tussle round.
Yeah, so if you are not satisfied with your touring car action at Knockhill at the weekend, then you will have more action here at BSR MX5 in the esports world on Thursday night. Same place, same time, basically exactly the same format, just a different set of cars. Right, thank you very much for watching. If you've subscribed, you've liked, you've commented, then you're amazing. If you've just sat there and silently judged us, then you're still amazing because you're helping with the viewing figures. So thank you very much. We'll be speaking to you next time. You can catch the touring cars on Thursday, or you can catch us in the BSR MX5 Championship next Tuesday. Good night.